Right. Hello, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. It's Aquayemi-Claude here, and welcome to another Instagram Live interview. Our guest is going to be joining us.
Here we join. Here we go.
Hi, Claude.
Hi. Yes,
Can you hear
so
me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
That's great. So first and foremost, I would love for you to introduce yourself to my community. And of course, you can explain who you are and what you
Okay.
do.
Okay, if I got you right, you said what? Can you come again, please?
If you could introduce yourself and say who you are and what you do to my community to give a bit more of a detailed background.
Okay, I'm Boluwatife Ebenezer. Um, I'm a tech enthusiast and blockchain enthusiast, and I'm an advocate for the Sustainable Development Goal. Majorly Goal 4, Goal 8, Goal 13, and then Goal 10. And I do well with every other one also. Well, I've done one or two things in regards to what I mentioned earlier. And recently in 2021, I was a Millennium Fellow, United Nations Millennium Fellow, class of 2021. So we worked on a project that deals majorly with SDG 8 and SDG 4. That's decent work on economic growth and quality education, respectively. So I carried out a project in high school year in Nigeria, Ocean State Ileife. Where we actually dealt with training young students, about 70 of them, exposing them to tech skill that will be relevant in the age they are in, and we are in now as well. So largely, we're able to train about 70 students. And what bettered this idea was the considered um, 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 unemployment rates in my country, as at then about 33% unemployment rate. Now, as we speak, that's about 40% unemployment rate. And considering the chart, then we have about 65% of our populations are young persons. And when I did the mathematics, I'm not so sure of this data or fact, but it's about close to like in the year 2050, We have over 170 million Nigerian youths not employed if we continue at this rate, considering the fact that it was estimated that Nigeria will have a growing population of about 400 million by then. So this was what informed most of my decision in that regards. And I'm still doing one or two things in that regards, and also worked on reducing inequality as a research assistant. Of course, Claude, you and I work on the team for YSDN Youth Sustainable Development Conference 2022, and quality education with my friend. I'm also Michael, going around secondary schools in Nigeria, and then telling young ones and in fact the school system why they need to match up with the global standard. And so majorly those are the things I've been working on, and also on climate action, how to sustain our environment. Let me just mention this before we move further. Recently, and like 2 or 3 days ago here in Nigeria, I was with a relator. A relator is someone who deals in real estate business. And I noticed in Nigeria, when real estate agency gets large mass land to sell to people, they cut down trees and the like. So I told him, I said, how are you guys replacing these trees? Because of course, when we don't have so much tree, we don't have so much oxygen, and human beings, we breathe out carbon dioxide, and plants, breathe out oxygen. So the nature has been created to, simultaneously work with plants and humans. So when you're reducing the plant, how do you make sure you're sustaining? Now you're planting more this thing because of deforestation. And like I said, he told me never consider that. I said he needs to talk to his bosses and every real estate agency here in Nigeria and make sure that even though if they are taking down 20 trees, at least they can put back 10 as flowers and the like, so that we can sustain our ecosystem. Hi, Michael. I see you. Thank you very much for joining.
First and foremost, thank you to everyone who's joined, and thank you for giving us a wonderful description, because there were some important discussed topics which you've covered there. And what I would like to deep dive into is that area about unemployment, and also about how Nigeria is currently, and what do you feel would be key for Nigeria in support and also growth for those individuals.
Okay. So if I got that right, you're asking about the rate of unemployment right here in Nigeria?
Yes, and of how that's being addressed, or either innovations that are creating to address that issue.
Okay. I would say largely, like I always maintain and tell people, when a nation that wants to grow majorly needs three arms. I call them arms in this regards because they are major stakeholders in any nation. There's the private business, the government organization, and non-government organization. That's civic society. Let me just put it in that regard. So majorly in Nigeria, I would say civil society have done largely well. Non-government organization, young persons, individuals, under the cocoon of fellowships and social impact programs going around schools, and encouraging people, and doing a lot in regards to upskilling young ones, so that they could be able to get employed beyond the four walls of this country. That's the trending thing now, because the truth is that the government doesn't have enough jobs to create to the population of Nigerian youths. And also private businesses wouldn't they are business people, and they always want to go for gain and the like. So if government is not really putting pressure on them, of course they will do whatever they feel good for their own businesses in that regard. So what I can say to this is, we are addressing this on a very large scale by training, upskilling young ones, so that, because we have platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and Discord, Telegram, and the likes, where you can get some at least good paying job for the time being by learning skill, being a community manager, Discord moderator, and also you want to learn how to trade cryptocurrency, you want to learn DeFi, and you want to learn NFT, you want
SEN Law Instagram Live. Yes.
I'm so sorry for that. I guess that's part of the issue we face down here in Nigeria. And I've worked so well to address this today, but this is the best I could do in regards to my environment. I'm so sorry for that.
No, don't be apologetic. It's fine. The other question I was going to say is, how do you balance technology, so the future technology, to, I think, grassroots and also origins of Nigeria? Because if there's been that challenge, would you say, of how other countries probably have supported and not supported within trade and the future of Nigeria?
Okay.
What's your view on that?
Okay. If I got you right, you're saying how I balance technology with grassroots, if I got that clearly.
Yes, and in the kind of infrastructure of Nigeria in general as well.
Okay. So I would say, well, I see technology as a tool in balancing grassroots majorly, because first of all, you have to ask ourselves the question of what is the trending factor in our generation currently. And you and I will agree that one major trending factor here is technology, and we cannot shy away from that. So in anything we are doing, social impact, um, 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 you know, reaching out to the society at large, we cannot take that factor out, considering the solution is going to bet in our generation largely. I tell you, Nigeria has a population of over 200 million persons, and about 65% of those persons are young persons, youths. So you and I, we understand that countries like China and India, what make them so outstanding in the world, especially in the tech industry majorly, especially Indian, was the fact that they were very intentional about, positioning their country in regards to technology. You could check Microsoft recently, I think Twitter before I think he stepped down, and check the big tech giant. I think even Google and the likes, the majority of them have Indian origin. And currently the Prime Minister of UK has an Indian origin also. One thing I learned about them is how intentional they made technology. They brought it to the grassroots, they brought it to the educational system, they brought it to the younger generation, and you can see how well it's paying off for them currently in the world that we are in today. So I say tech is not a tool we want to put out, especially considering social impact. It's something that has to go alongside, because what are we teaching to the younger generation? Like me and my colleagues and people younger than we are, other than, okay, have a good society, be prepared, be upskilled for the future of work coming, and of course, and be technologically inclined. We cannot put those three factors out. More importantly, how to make them. If all these considerations are put right, let me set something clear, Club. If all these considerations are put right, especially in a society where people have job and they can put food on their table, then the government will not need to do so much about crime. Because one thing that bets crime in any society is, first of all, poverty. When people do not have what to put on their table, when people do not have what to eat, so that is when they can think of doing and undoing. Here in Nigeria, largely, I'm sorry to put this out, is the fact that a lot of younger persons, let me put it that way, always want to go into the easiest routes, and people complain that, oh, you could use your brain, you could do this, you could do that. Check people in America, check people in the UK, check this. And I used to say something. There's an adage we have in my mother's tongue, and I will try to translate that to English. It says, "Tonje bakro nishe ishe bushe." That is, if food is out of what you worry about, your daily feeding is out of what you worry about, then there's nothing really called poverty in that sense. If you can put food on your table and you can have like 2 or 3 square meal in a day, then you don't really you've actually succeeded over poverty for about, let me say, 50%, and the rest is maybe the money you have in your account, the assets you want to build, an investment and the like. So it's one of the major factors, even with terrorism in Nigeria, in the northern parts most especially. Poverty is one of the reasons why people are, going into terrorism, because when you don't have what to eat, people can convince you to do anything.
So for those who are joining, do feel free to say where you are and also how you're feeling. And there's also the Q&A feature, which you can put your questions in, which you would like me to ask for our guests. And yes, our guests will be joining in a few steps. Just facing some technical issues. Okay. Can you hear us, followers?
Hi, Claude, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So,
Yes.
what um, I would like to ask, how would you feel that the youth are able to kind of be able to amplify their voice and be able to kind of able to access tools like what we've learned to make change and to also strengthen Nigeria than probably focusing on the outside of Nigeria?
So, can you come again with that question? I'm so sorry because of the network
So in
issue.
regards, no problem. In regards to sustainability and like giving them the option of having, I don't know, like tools within education, is this catered for? And in what capacity do you think they would be able to learn these tools? What would be your tip?
Yes. First of all, I would like to say, sustainability. It's one difficult thing we're going through, and that's because of government's involvement. You want to sustain
Mm,
anything in society, then you have to really involve the government. It's one issue we're having with environmental issue in Nigeria also because the power is transit. One person comes to power and leaves after 4 8 years in the central seats and the component units, whereby we have the states in Nigeria, also the same goes. So when the new power comes in, the person might not really regard these issues and they have their own policy or idea and they want to just pick it up from wherever they feel they want to do things from. And this was exemplified in America with Donald Trump. And then when he came in after Barack Obama, he had no so much regard for climate issues. It wasn't really giving it so much attention until Joe Biden came back. So what I'm trying to make here is that it's a little bit hard considering the fact that we majorly, let me put it from the angle, my colleagues and I in the social impact angle, we do our best to train these young persons. And I tell you for a fact, and I'm being sincere with this, I used to tell people when it comes to training them, like, your passion is what will sustain you because you go through difficulties, especially in this kind of climate, this kind of settings, melee, so to say. You go through difficulty. You ask questions that will I be able to do this? Am I sure this is my calling? Is this really what I want to do? And I used to tell them, don't stop, just keep learning. One day you really get to where you want to get to, because it won't be easy. You have to. If you're not asking yourself this question, then you're not ready to start yet. Because why? Government participation is very very minimal, and I'm very very sincere about it. Very very minimal, and in that regards, it will be hard to sustain on the generic parts, except individuals are willing to pick up this. And that's one challenge we're having currently. One challenge, I must say.
and within that one challenge, how is the kind of aspect of education as well in Nigeria currently?
How is the access of education in Nigeria?
Yeah, the aspect of delivery of education in Nigeria.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I, I would say Nigeria is trying in that regard. Let me be very sincere, because kind of education is quite free, yeah, to some extent, to a large extent. At least after high school, what we call secondary school in Nigeria, you have the opportunity, even if you do not have, if you're from a poor background, you have the opportunity of going, getting education, primary education to secondary education. And of course, if you're smart enough, you get into the federal university where you will pay, but not in so much like amount, I think. And you wouldn't need to pay up to $100, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, per section in the federal university in Nigeria. But that being said, we need to consider the standard, the quality of education delivered in Nigeria, and that is where the issue lies. Recently, the university lecturers in the university in Nigeria went on over 8 month strike in Nigeria because due to the consideration of how education is funded in Nigeria, like very very low, below international standard. And the question has risen in regards to, okay, should we monetize education? And if we do that, it will only be for the rich and the middle class, and the people from the lower background might not have access to education. People have come about saying, what about government loan? you could loan students money to run the education like they do in America and the likes, and with this they can get education. And there's the other question coming up from, where's the job to actually refund these loans? Is it sustainable? So these are the questions trending around education, and that's one of the reasons why government is saying, oh, we are not able to fund education to international standard because education is free. But this is my own opinion on that. I don't quite agree with the government in this regard, because we have the federal university and the state university in Nigeria. As far as I'm concerned, most state universities in Nigeria pay close to like 300 or 400, if not $500 per section. And if you calculate that for over at least an average course you do in university in Nigeria is 4 years. If you calculate that, that's about $2,000 for your whole time in the university as a student. And yet they have one of the worst set of university education in Nigeria. The federal universities are even considered better than they are, except that they do not have issues with strike. So my own consideration is government must be put to task to actually address this, irrespective of, they cannot give us the excuse of saying education, we don't make a lot of money from education and the likes. No, that's not true. Government spend quite a lot of money on subsidy. Subsidy takes over 50% of Nigerian annual budget, and that is not benefiting the citizen in any regards. I told you I got gas for yesterday or 2 days ago for about, I'm going to calculate that, about 300 naira per liter. What used to be 65 naira before, what used to be 80 naira, what used to be 100 naira. And there's fuel scarcity as well. And yet they keep telling us they remove subsidy every now and then, every now and then, every now and then. So in my own opinion, I don't think the argument from the government is sincere enough. Education is one tool every nation wants to invest in. Education is not a liability, it's an investment. When you invest in the young people by educating them, the economy will grow largely, because you have the best mind, the best skilled people to undo your labor issue, the labor markets for you, and that will bet more money for the country by tax and revenue largely. So that's my own take on that.
Thank you very much. And how is the government run, and does youth have a part to say in government? Do they feel that they're included, or is this an issue which they're not included? And who is the person that is kind of running your government at the moment in Nigeria?
Okay, please, can you come again? I didn't get that clearly. I'm so sorry.
No problem. So roughly, what I am asking is, who is your leader in Nigeria at the moment, and how is it accessible for the youth? Do they feel like their voice is being acknowledged when it comes to elections?
Okay, I got that clearly. Yes, in 2017, we're about few young persons and I ran around Nigeria campaigning for the Not Too Young to Run bill. On our own platform, we call it Imagine Young Political Leaders Forum, where we bring government officials and young persons interested in politics and leadership at large to tell them what is at stake for them to get into government, get into power, and change policy. And one thing we made sure we did was insisting on the reduction of age so that young people can be included in government. I would say largely the voice of the youth it's getting noticed. Let me put it that way. I'm not saying it's been heard. It's getting noticed in the sense that there's more the more vocality, there's any word like that, by the youths in recent time in Nigeria. One of that is what resulted into the NSAS in 2020 that I do not personally like to mention because of how it ended and the loss of life we had. And also, I would say with the forthcoming election, which is more youth-based, at least about 33% of the registered voters are young persons, youths. And I think the remaining percent, if you calculate it, the youth has the highest number among registered voters in Nigeria. So with that, I can say our voice will be listened to, our voice will be heard, not necessarily the government listening to us per se in that regard. Our voice have been noticed, they know our yearnings, and I would say they are responding in the sense that this is how far we could do, this is how far we could do, and we cannot do to this extent. But I believe with every young person's voter's card, they could speak well. They could speak their voice, their voter's card during election, elect people that they feel would listen to their voice, include youth in government and policy making, more importantly. And we won't have this repetition rather of working and trying and not having sustainability majorly in every policy, in every advocacy we make in regards to moving our nation forward rather. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And in your perspective of, because you mentioned about SICE, I think that was a big, breaking news, I remember a while back. What I would like to ask is, on a kind of like Nigeria perspective, and from Fela Kuti, what has the climate of Nigeria been like? Is it the fact that there's too much influence from other countries, and is the people happy as a whole, or is there still kind of conflicting issues?
Well, I would say I can only deduce the voice of the people and the mindset of the people by what I see online, and that's most majorly represented by the youth. Of course, what I ask people personally, but one thing I'm very certain of, I'm very sure of, is people are not happy with the government of today in Nigeria. They're not happy with the situations going around in the country. Some persons are trying to look for greener pastures. Like I think in your country, in the UK, about majority of people migrating there are Nigerians, young persons majorly, and I tell you, you look through your neighbor in the next door, and you hear, oh, they are going to the UK. Like, wow, nobody. That is becoming alarming, even to medical practitioners, to lawyers, to experts. Let me put it that way, and that's really a matter of concern. And aside from that, large rate of insecurity. I tell you this. Even to the person speaking to you here, it's a concern to me that wherever I travel, whenever I'm in transit, and there's always the other side of the mind that, oh, can we have issues with kidnappers? Because that's the trending startup in Nigeria now, if I'll be sincere with you. So I wouldn't say people are happy. No sensible person will be happy with that kind of situation. So I wouldn't say the generality of Nigerians are happy. And I wouldn't say the climate is happy.
And what I would love to ask is, in the aspect of kind of the Commonwealth aspect, and within the kind of, because I know there's this factor of kind of when a country becomes independent, or there's also that aspect when they're underneath the Commonwealth. And do you feel that it's being challenged, and do you feel that there is more UK kind of support in the fact of probably building Nigeria to make the people feel more like the systems are for them and within the government? What's your kind of view or your intake on this?
Okay, if I got you right, you're talking about and the UK's impact in making Nigeria the kind of nation it wants to be. Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, we have to consider that every nation has its own sovereignty, and an independent nation, exists on its own without interference of any other nation. So whatever the UK would do is minimal. Whatever the US would do is minimal. I keep saying, it's our responsibility to build our nation. The UK has tried by civilizing us and giving us civilization, coming to colonize us and giving us exposure. Even some people counter that and raise a lot of insults. So I don't side with that. It's our own responsibility. That is my own opinion, to build our nation. It's the responsibility of every citizen of any nation to build their nation. So I wouldn't say UK needs so much to do. They've done their part. And recently, they've invited majority of the presidential candidates for the 2023 elections to Chatham House. And at least I've watched like 2 or 3 interview by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Excuse me, I'll be back. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, quick Peter Obi and Rabiu Kakwanso, and also the INEC chairman, I think Professor Yakuba. So I think they've played their parts. The major duty falls on us, we citizens, to build our nation, and that is sacrosanct anywhere, any part of the world. And what's majority of what is making US been facing international criticism in this regard is they criticize for the interference with the majority of the nations around the world. And you see what happened in Afghanistan recently, and the soldiers have been evacuated. And I really love that step for President Joe Biden, because I've always believed that it's the responsibility of every citizen of every country to build their nation. And, international interference in that regard can be minimal, considering sovereignty.
And from that perspective of Nigeria being able to kind of support itself, and of course the factor of it being more prospective, okay, we're just facing some technical issues. So yes, thank you for those who are still joining, and also do feel free to put questions in the Q&A. Do also feel free to say where you're joining in from.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can hear you. So sorry for that. So
No problem. So what I would love to ask is in regard to the recent, because you had some recent climate issues within floods and also recent kind of, I think there was a rice issue as well in Nigeria, is that right?
yes, there is. Yeah.
So, yes, if you would like to explain a bit more about that and what has been kind of done to
Okay.
support that issue or
Yeah, majorly, it's about so sorry, excuse me. It's about um, not. I would just put it like our channel, our dam, and the drainage system largely. Of course, it was bettered from the excess rain that we had in 2022, and um, I think Nigeria had a deal with Cameroon some few years back in the 1980s. I can't really pinpoint the date as regards, channeling water from their dam to ours, and at the same time, in case they want to open their dam, it's so that we have more place to receive it, and also they will have a place to receive if we're actually opening our dam. So in these regards, I think they were about to release water from the dam because of the excess rain, and I'm not really sure what the facts we got online was that our country wasn't notified, whereby they claimed that we were notified. And so, of course, releasing the dam and excess rain led to flooding in Nigeria. Over 34, about 35 states were flooded in Nigeria. Bayelsa, more importantly, and then from few other states around Nigeria, witnessed this. And that was very disastrous, loss of life and properties largely, and so that was the major issues. And aside from that, the other climate issues around here in Nigeria, but they're not really as spoken as what happened in 2022. I know of the Ogoni issue also, that was with oil spillage and the likes. And this issue majorly can be addressed or should be addressed. Of course, I have a friend who pitched an idea to Facebook in 2019 on FB Stats, how to use artificial intelligence to notify uh, the oil drilling companies when they want to be oil spillage. The robots will notify them. So if there's going to be any leakage, it will notify them to time. So they won't have to spend so much money in cleaning up leakages and the like. So, but what that does not see the light of the day currently, because ideas like that, I don't know, somehow they don't succeed in this kind. And also this the part of documentation and creating awareness, also with NFT that I mentioned to you recently, though it's been largely argued that the minting of NFT had to carbon dioxide, which is not favorable to the environment, the earth larger, and that's with the proof of work on especially on the Bitcoin consensus mechanism. Solution that we can work with uh, is this proposed solution that we can work with by documenting occurrences like this by maintaining NFT. I'm sure you are a little bit knowledgeable in NFT, you know how this works, whereby we can name an NFC project a particular name of an occurrence. Let's say, for instance, we're up in Bayelsa, Nigeria. We meant it and name it after the occurrence so that generations to come can have this idea of, oh, this is what happened and so and so, yeah, this is what happened. And they can engage with it well because they are seeing the pictures, they have it as assets in their wallet, in OpenSea and the likes, and the NFT has been tokenized. And also the education of maintaining the environment, why you shouldn't do so and so things, why you should plant trees all around, can be created alongside NFT, because you and I know that in years to come, this would be the major focal point of younger generations, and they can learn from this. I remember when I was in secondary school, then Governor Raji Babatunde Fashola was governor of Lagos State. And they taught us in secondary school then not to throw dirty on the ground. You have to use the waste bin. And I learned that culture is still with me till today because I learned that in secondary school. But as we speak, education is not getting declined, but there are other means of education. And you and I know that YouTube is one of those things, blockchain is one of those things, cryptocurrency is one of those things, NFT is one of those things. So if education could teach me how to sustain the environment by not littering it, NFT is going to do more, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. And yes, just for everyone's clarity, NFT is non-fundable token. It's also an initiative which most people have kind of been share your questions and also do share where you're joining in from. So, what I was going to ask, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly.
Okay. So what I was going to ask is in regards to the factor of sustainability and that kind of aspect of where we are going with technology. Do you still believe that there is kind of contingency plans or there is kind of deeper things that get looked into this artificial intelligence? What's your view on stuff like that?
Well, my view is just very basic. The world we actually move with what we prefer solution, with what is currently being noised. I tell you this for free. A few years ago, I did not know anything about blockchain. 2009, the global recession in 2008 and 2009 brought about this. And I tell you, in 2020, when there was a general lockdown in Nigeria, it caught the attention of young persons in Nigeria, most importantly. So artificial intelligence for me, it's part of the future of the world. And I think this book by Professor Rifkin, I can't really pronounce his other name, by if I got it right, The End of Work, like talking about how a robot is going to come and take our place. And I think Peter T, or one of the investor in Facebook, early investor in Facebook, mentioned about the minimal artificial intelligence, you know, working simultaneously with humans. And then he countered also the deep AI. There's those that believe that robots will come and take the place of human being largely. And this is the fear largely by people. I was on a pitch deck in 2018 with my team, and the judges were actually not so happy based on the fact that they are scared of robots, artificial intelligence. Let me just put it as robot coming to take their work out. And it was one of the panelists was saying, so if robot is doing my job, how would I get paid, and what kind of job will I have? And the response to that was, robot isn't coming to take your job, it's coming to help you do your job very well. It's coming to reduce the stress on human, because either you like it or not, we might be more, sensible, emotional, and we might be able to dissect than robot and the like. But I don't think we can work faster like they do. What a robot is going to do in 20 minutes will take human maybe 24 hours to achieve, in my own opinion. So I see it as a future, and it's going to work in synergy with humans and not taking out human being from the global workspace. Like,
And if there was like a scenario, for example, that there weren't too much information looked into artificial intelligence, what would be, from your perspective, the kind of ability to make sure that you still have human function and not have too much artificial intelligence? Is there that kind of area which has been looked into of trying to like see the disadvantages and advantages?
oh, okay. If I go that very well, you're saying how can we synergize human and artificial intelligence together to make sure that humans' job is sustained? Is that it?
Yes, and then also that question of the disadvantages and advantages of kind of artificial intelligence.
Okay. Yeah. For me, largely, I believe anything can be sustained if we have an intentional plan to work towards this. And obviously, if we'll be sincere with ourselves as humans, robots, artificial intelligence cannot come and replace human being. It's okay. For instance, there's a speculation about lawyers getting out of job. I think the hype in this regard is what makes people scared. Wherever they're posting something and your colleague studying law is telling you, "Oh, I'm scared that robots will come and take my job," and it doesn't go that way. Let me mention this fact. I think in 2014 or 13, whereabout, I can't really recall. There was a Google AI machine being tested, and to recognize pictures. Yeah, and they tallied that with a young child of about 3 to 5 years old. So a young child of 3 to 5 years could recognize picture and graphics faster than the AI machine of Google back in 2014. So it was estimated that human beings are able to learn faster. So what this artificial intelligence is coming to do is, in the process of work, they can do faster job than we can do. We learn the job, we give it to them to do. And it makes work easier and faster. Let's say, for instance, in an hospital, we have a sick patient and it's been rushed into the hospital and the likes. We have the doctors to treat. I know now they're talking about AI doctors and the likes, robot doctors that can operate, but these things can't be operated like exclusively without human beings. Obviously, it's going to reduce the amount of jobs in that regard. You might not need to have so much nurses that we're pushing in, patients and the likes. You might not need to have so much doctors, but they could look into other fields. Some persons could be studying medicine in regards to artificial intelligence. What other knowledge can be impacted in these people? Some years back in Japan, to see how they maintain artificial intelligence and human being, majorly robots, they had local areas that experts couldn't go to teach students. So they clone the experts, the teachers, they clone their memory, those teachers into the robots, and they send them to villages to go and teach young persons so that the standard of education can be the same everywhere. So that is a pointer to the fact that artificial intelligence is not a threat if it's really managed. It's a complement to advancing human environment, education, economics, and name it. Name it.
Thank you. What would be your three demands, or either, three, I think your three kind of, demands and kind of future for Nigeria, which you would.
You saying what would be my demands, my free demand for the future?
But thank you for all of those who have joined.
Yeah, thank you very much, Claude.
You're welcome. So I just wanted to ask, what would your 3 demands be for the future of Nigeria?
Okay, I said earlier, I guess it's the network. The 3 demand will majorly be justice and a working system. Now, the reason why I say that is because these 2 things, these 2 factors will make every citizen of Nigeria, old and young, to believe in the country called Nigeria. Then their talents can work for Nigeria. Their God-given gifts can work for Nigeria. Their brain can work for Nigeria. Their strength can work for Nigeria. And their ideas can be materialized in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. And also, do you believe in world peace?
You said?
Do you believe in world peace?
Do I believe in world keep?
In world peace?
Oh, I didn't get that very well.
No problem. Do you believe in world peace for Nigeria?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that very well. Do I believe
No
in
problem.
wealth keep? Do I believe in wealth keep?
World peace.
What be?
World peace.
I didn't get that. If you could type it in the chat, maybe I can get that very well. I didn't get that very well. World peace. Okay. Yeah. I believe in world peace for Nigeria. Yes, I believe.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, is there anything else you would love to share? And is there any projects which you would like our community to know about?
Um, um, uh, I think so far so good. I've said a lot, and um, okay. I was just gonna say, what do you think about Nigeria, my country? Um, from from your viewpoints, from someone from the UK, what do you think about Nigeria, my country? I don't know if you can hear me. I find it difficult to hear you. Is it by any means you're muted over there?
Oh, yes, thank you. So
Okay.
yes, I think it's important that the citizens of Nigeria are feeling that they're represented and listened to by their government. I also feel that there's probably the aspect where it's a wonderful nation and it's a nation that's going to be able to kind of, you could say, do well and be able to kind of adapt to the future. But yeah, I think it's important that you feel that your government is working for you and also is representing the citizens like everywhere else.
Okay, thank you very much. it's quite encouraging. Yeah. So thank you very much for your time, Claude. I'm so sorry for the network issues. One of the issues we face here also, but we're getting better. Yeah, I'm sure Airtel is bringing 5G very soon. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm glad that you had time to talk with me today. And in general, it's really good that we've been able to get your perspective from Nigeria because I know that this hasn't been highlighted as much as it could be, especially with the climate issues as well. So thank you so much. And yeah, for everyone else, thank you for joining. And I will keep you posted as well once this is up, and everyone else can watch this on rewatch. But thank you to Boluwatife, our guest today. Bye, everyone.
My pleasure. My pleasure.